So here's my question. Welcome to the program, by the way. For Friday, December the 12th, the day of the Skinner-Jarry trade. Here's my question. It's a pretty simple one. What changed? And this is from the Edmonton side of things, not so much the Penguins side of things, because they had made up their mind about Tristan Jarry 11 months ago. But from Edmonton's point of view, from the Oilers side of things, what changed? How did Tristan Jarry go from being waived by the Pittsburgh Penguins, offered to 31 other teams, take them, free, yours, free goalie, yours? How did he go from not wanted on the voyage with the Edmonton Oilers to 11 months later, essentially worth a second-round pick with no retention? Now, I don't think we're going to really be able to evaluate this deal until we see what happens in the playoffs, but just so we're all on the same page here, this is what happens. You watch or listen to a show like this, you probably don't need to see or hear this trade board, but here we go. Stuart Skinner and Brett Kulak, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago here on this program, along with a second-round pick in 2029, go to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Oilers receive, coming back the other way, netminder Tristan Jarry. 2 more years after this one at 5.75 on the salary cap. So Connor McDavid, that's your goalie. And Samuel Poulin, who many would have figured should be a legitimate NHLer by now. Does it not, just as an aside, does it not feel like Sam Poulin has been around for like 12 years? Just feels like, okay, this year Poulin is going to make it, right? This year Poulin is going to be, it still hasn't happened. Anyhow, there's the board. My question here is a legitimate one, because I always wonder about the inner workings of what goes on in these evaluations of players. And in this case, Tristan Jarry specifically. How did Jarry, in Edmonton's mind, go from the scout's point of view, because it does kind of look like a wild swing here, not interested at all for free, to essentially, yes, we're interested, no retention, and we'll send a second-round pick as well? What changed? It's not as if this is a young goaltender. There's a lot of track record here to base it on. You know, there were probably conversations in the Oilers organization around Jarry this year, and the conversations probably revolved around, well, he's figured it out now, because Jarry's had a good start to the season. Now, as Tyler Yaremchuk mentioned on the afternoon show, the noon show, Daily Faceoff Live, the high danger save percentage for Tristan Jarry is excellent. Stuart Skinner's high danger save percentage, not exactly great. I think he's around 40th or 42nd. And I believe Tristan Jarry is top 4 in the NHL, so that is a mitigating factor. We'll get into this over the course of the next hour here, talking about this deal and other deals around the NHL. And yes, we will have another whack at the Quinn Hughes Pagnotta. Let's get right into it, though, shall we? The Blueprint is powered by FanDuel. Download the app today. What changed? Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. Coming up on the program today, the lion's share of it is going to be about the trade. We'll try to do as much of a 360 view of the deal today as much as we can. Dave Pagnotta is stopping by, our DFO insider from the fourth period. He'll be here in a couple of moments. Jason Gregor will be aboard at the bottom of the hour. We will talk about Skinner for Jarry. We'll talk about the Oilers. We'll throw in the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. We'll do a little around the NHL, and inevitably we'll get more into the Quinn Hughes situation with the Vancouver Canucks. But in the meantime, joins me every Friday here on the program. Glad to have him kick it off today. It's a day like this where, Dave, I'm guessing you stay in front of your phone, both to receive texts, receive phone calls, and do video interviews like this one. So thanks so much for making yourself available. And I do love the hats. I've left a lot of brain cells at the Elbow Room myself, as I'm sure you have as well over the years.
A few of us, definitely.
That's back when I used to have fun in my life. In the meantime, I obsess about things now like this. So here's how I opened up with, and I'm really curious about this. Mm-hmm. From the Edmonton Oilers' point of view, and this is from a scout's point of view. Okay, this is what I'm addressing here. Scouts, what changed? Because Tristan Jarry was available on waivers last year for nothing. Free goalie, take him. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around inside of a year, the Oilers went from not interested. Our evaluation is he's not better than Stuart Skinner. How did he go from not interested to we are interested, there's no retention, and we'll throw in a second round pick? That's the part of this deal that because you look at it in its totality, that's the part of the deal that I'm really having a hard time with here. Is there something, Dave, that you think I'm missing? Is there a puzzle piece that I don't have available to me that you would know about? Because this is the one that's giving me trouble here.
Well, remember, last season, the Oilers were steadfast on being fully confident with Stuart Skinner. Mm-hmm. And they felt that he was going to be able to do enough and more than enough to be the primary guy for this team. And as this season progressed, clearly things had changed within that mindset. So yes, he whether it was the Oilers or any team could have gotten Tristan Jarry for nothing, but at that time, Jarry's game was all over the map, and the Oilers were very adamant in their confidence surrounding Stuart Skinner. So at the time, didn't really think about it. As the conversations kept going this season, after a very slow start and a rough and tumble October, November for the Oilers, they started exploring and they started to look around to see what options were available to them, both in terms of who they could potentially trade for and at the same, as well as taking into account the economics. And then how are we going to be able to pull this off asset-wise? They were very adamant within these discussions. And this has been going on with Pittsburgh for a long time. They explored. We saw the reports of Binnington. We saw them looking around at other options as well. Financially, it was going to be too big of a burden to pull in anybody that was making $5.5, $6 million, $7 million bucks, because that means a very big piece has to leave. And with all the no trade protection, it would have complicated things quite significantly. As these talks continued, first of all, the Oilers knew right away Pittsburgh was not retaining anything. Their management team knew this. If we're going to pull this off, if we're going to make a move for Tristan Jarry, it was going to be money in, money out, which is what they achieved here with this deal by including Kulak. But they've liked how Jarry has performed this season. You mentioned the stats with the high danger saves. This is a scenario where they bit the bullet and said, look, we feel we've got to do so. Like I was also pretty adamant based on what I was told that this is likely to be something that they address in the offseason because financially it's been too complicated. This was with the idea that they don't want to trade Stuart Skinner this season. That obviously changed in the last week. And they said, you know what, we feel we've got to do this. In order to make it happen, you've got to include Stuart Skinner in the mix. And Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman and everybody decided this is the route we need to take, and we're going to do it.
See, that's there's one thing that I want to pull out of this answer. Maybe you can say, Marek, you can't cherry pick this, but let me try. Let me cherry pick one thing in your answer, because this is like where you and I are on like 100% the same page. Tristan Jarry and the performance, last year was kind of all over the map. I get that, right? Yes. You and I are 100% on that. That's where, and we see teams get in trouble with this. And I'll tell you, another place where I'll give you an example is the Norris deal for Cousins, where Jacob Bernard-Docker was part of the deal. And at one point, the Buffalo Sabres felt he's good enough to put a second-round pick in the deal. And then 5 minutes later, he wasn't good enough to keep on the team. So it's like, whenever I see situations like this where it, like, honestly, you know what it feels? It feels like a wild swing based on just like a streak, either a good streak or a bad streak. And you've been around, like, I mean, you know this better than most. It's a tough way to run your organization when you look at a streak of even something as long as a year and say, look, that's who the player is, as opposed to the full track record. That's why I come back to all of this and say, what changed to lead to this like wild, I shouldn't say wild, this swing that looks pretty significant. I want to get to the first round pick here in a second, but there's a second here. There's no retention. I don't think you can evaluate the trade until the playoffs. Like, listen, Oilers win the Stanley Cup. Marek, let's go back to December 12th, and you can shut your fool mouth up. You could just stop because we won the Stanley Cup, so knock it off. But just right now, I'm saying to myself, okay, early returns, if you're going to do instant reaction, this one's for the Pens.
Yeah, and it's going to be criticized left, right, and center, no question, because of what happened last season, especially. And I think, and speaking to a couple individuals within the Oilers organization, a lot of them viewed last season as a result of just the Penguins being bad. And his performance was a reflection of that. And remember, going back earlier this season, Stan Bowman was also adamant about that with respect to his goaltending, that it's not only the goalies to blame. This isn't just, again, this is back in October, November. Yep. This isn't Stuart Skinner's fault exclusively. This isn't Calvin Pickard's fault exclusively. The rest of the team has been a disaster. And they were depleted. They had injuries. Guys were in and out of the lineup. They weren't as deep as they had been. The system had to adjust. And all of that affected the performance of the goaltending. They feel from what's been relayed to me that the performance we're seeing now with a better team in front of him is what Tristan Jarry is capable of. Bring him to our environment. We feel we're a better club. We feel we're a stronger team, that he's going to continue to perform well and do it consistently over the balance of the season. We have to wait to see how the performance is. You can argue one side or the other right now.
Yeah.
But we've got to see how this goes. The other factor in all of this is that he signed next season. This is now something that they don't have to necessarily worry about, assuming he plays to the way they anticipate.
Right.
That they don't have to go out next season and have to address the starter's position if Jarry is there. This could allow them to focus on other elements of their club,
right,
including the potential of bringing in a top six guy, which I believe is on the docket or on their wish list, but for later.
Okay, so let me look at this. This is just like the cynic in me. I look at this and say, okay, this is an indication that they're not going to make any moves with their blue line. Now they did bring in Spencer Stastney from the Nashville Predators. They swap him out with Brett Kulak, so less physicality, but a better pass first guy, like a better first pass guy, someone that moves the puck better, albeit in a third pairing position. So if you're looking for someone that's moving the puck back there on every single line, you got someone. Now with Spencer Stastney, I am kind of surprised that Nashville gave up on him because they really liked him. But nonetheless, for another conversation, maybe this says to me that this is Stan Bowman saying the guys we have in front of our goaltender aren't changing. We're still going to surrender high danger chances. That's going to continue. We need a goaltender that's going to give us that save in a high danger situation that we weren't getting from Stuart Skinner. Is that maybe the way we look at this?
I mean, I think that's definitely a factor. I think it's part of it because, again, this is a team that, and I think they're going to explore, by the way, I think they're going to explore adding later on in the season. I think it's from a defensive perspective, whether it's the blue line or in their bottom six, somebody more responsible in either of those roles. I think they're going to explore that later on in the season. And because the money is a bit of a wash, it pretty much is, minus $75K, there's still whatever was in that thought process is still something they're capable of pursuing later on in the season. But again, this goes to them believing the last year and a half prior to this season for Tristan Jarry was a reflection of just the guys not being able to help him out in front. And how he's performing now, playing well in high danger situations and being able to bail out his team. It's not just the numbers that are, window dressing this. This is legit. That's how they're viewing it. And again, they feel with a better team, they feel having a better team in front of this particular guy is going to make him that much better, which in result will make the team that much better.
Okay, so safe to say that if there was retention, and to your point, the Penguins, like that was going to be a no-fly zone. That's why it was a second-round pick and not a first-round pick. That first-round pick from 2027 is still there. And I am of the mind. You still there, Dave? Oh, there we go. We got you. We got you. No problem. So I'm of the mind that that's going to be something that's used by Stan Bowman at some point this year. Safe to say that there wasn't a first-round draft pick in this deal. There wasn't retention in this deal. They want that pick to, I don't know, bring in someone like, I'll just throw a dart here, Dave, and say, oh, I don't know, Alex Tuck.
I mean,
and here's my logic. Here's my logic. My logic is,
okay,
they know if they're going to win the Stanley Cup, they need to construct a third line. that can compete with some of the elite third lines around the NHL.
Yes.
And as we've seen before, that's where you win the Stanley Cup. See the Florida Panthers most recently last year. That's my logic in that one.
And that's where I think I mentioned earlier that they're going to address in some part the bottom six or the D side. So I agree that that's obviously an area of importance. But and you could certainly utilize that pick in that circumstance as well. I think the addition of that means to me that the message back to the Oilers was, we don't have to trade Tristan Jarry, despite the notion that we've got all these young kids in the system and we've got a couple other goaltenders in the ranks that are ready to make the jump. We don't necessarily have to do this now. So if you want to make this happen, one of two things has to happen. A, we're not retaining, so you're taking the full pop. And we'll make the money work if we need to, but you're taking the full pop.
Yep.
And two, you've got to give us a bit of a reason to pull this off. And that's where that second round pick certainly comes into play. Yes, it could be utilized in other areas, but I think, if you're going after a bigger fish, any type of move, unless you're getting guys to waive, especially now that you've made this deal, financially, you're almost hamstrung. So to go after, a tuck, and then you're going to have to incentivize for a team like Buffalo to retain and others to do that too. You're probably going to have to look for the character type of players that bring intangibles to the game to bolster your top six this season. It's because of the economics of where the Oilers are at with the salary cap, it makes it difficult to take bigger swings. They pulled one off here. They pulled one off here. We'll see obviously how it pays out, but they felt they needed to do something. Yeah. Push came to shove. They were reluctant. They were very reluctant to add Skinner to this deal from the get-go. Yeah. And they clearly decided it has to happen.
You know what Edmonton can do to get that? And let's just say for sake of conversation, Alex Tuck, they could use the Pittsburgh Penguins and their $13 million worth of cap space and their retention slots as well.
There are teams willing to do it. We're not going to see double retention anymore.
No.
But at least in season. But yeah, you're going to look at other teams and say, "Hey, can you help us out?" I know it's look. This just to me means that the Oilers just didn't want it. They felt they couldn't afford to wait anymore.
Yep.
That where they are in the standings with how some of the other teams are doing, this is an opportunity for them to pounce now and give them a bit of runway here to go up the standings.
Okay, so we focused on this from the Oilers' point of view a lot here. I do want to get to the Pittsburgh Penguins side of things, and I think you mentioned something really salient there, and that is the sort of glut of goaltenders that the Pittsburgh Penguins have. And I think we're looking at a goaltender like Sergei Murashov and saying, is he going to be the next great Russian goaltender in a long line of great Russian goaltenders in the NHL? The Penguins certainly hope so. I think we're all wondering what was Kyle Dubas thinking when he picked up Artur Shilov. So you already have a lot. Now it all starts to make sense. Like when you look at all of this, like the hints of this deal were laid previous year to say nothing about Blomqvist as well, who they still like. The seeds of this were planted sort of long ago. How do you read this from the Penguins' point of view? Because let's not forget too, Penguins fall out of this year, they'll move Kulak, get a third. Yep. They'll move Stuart Skinner, get another pick. And they've just got out from under the weight of the Tristan Jarry deal, whom they put on waivers, no takers, still got rid of the contract, and they got a second-round pick. Steel's not over yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of what they're going to do this season is going to be based on just how this team continues to perform. And you still allow the kids in the system to play more regular minutes, so you don't have to spread things out at the NHL level. Which takes away ice time and the crease from Shilovs, who's done a solid job. And now you've got Skinner, so you've got to worry about that and how you're going to manage those particular guys. But this also doesn't put you in a position where you feel you have to rush either of Murashov or Blomqvist up. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility from that side of things because you're getting rid of, as you mentioned, that contract for next season where you don't have to allocate an additional 5.375 to your net minding. But I'm very curious now how this team is going to handle the rest of the season from a transactional perspective, a lot of it's going to be based on how they play. It does give them a little bit more, as you mentioned, more options if the bottom falls out a little bit. But at the same time, you don't have this little bit of a distraction. It's been a distraction for them in the last few weeks because of Jarry being out there. And, you try to say all the right things that this doesn't creep into the room, and eventually it does. Adam Foote had to admit that for his team the other day, that all the trade talk in Vancouver is creeping into the room. It's normal. These guys are all human. It's just how it is. But from the Penguins side of it, this is something that, they talked about this last season. They talked about this in the summer around the draft. They weren't able to pull anything off. This is something that allows them to get one area of business done, and now they can focus on others. But this is also a team that I'm not convinced is going through a definitive full tear-it-down rebuild, and I haven't been convinced of that for a while. This also gives them an opportunity to look at other potential moves, be it in free agency in the summer or on the trade front now and later on moving forward, in bringing guys that are in that mid-20s range.
Last question on this one. Does this do anything for the relationship with Sidney Crosby and the team?
I don't think so. I think, look, the writing was on the wall with Jarry one way or another. And with the guys in the system and in the pipeline, I think it was just fairly obvious. I think the messaging, Sidney Crosby's not going to dictate the roster, but at the same time, the message is going to be there. There's going to be an open line of communication. I don't think this changes anything with Sid. I think this is a move based on how they feel their goaltending is, that almost a necessity, but they pulled it off by bringing in an overall asset in that pick. And let's see how the team goes. Because if they're still in this wild card race or more as we get close to the Olympics, I think they're going to do what they can, not saying that they're going to go after the rental market, because I'm not anticipating that.
I agree.
But maybe it gives them a little more of an incentive to make moves that bring in some future core pieces that can impact the team now as well, and also amplify the chances of helping Sid, Gino, and Letang and Carlson get to another postseason.
Okay, I want to ask you a candid question. We are 21 minutes into this conversation on Friday, December 12th, 2025. How happy are you that the name Quinn Hughes hasn't come up yet?
Oh my gosh. Jeff, I'm not going to lie. When I brought up Vancouver a few minutes ago, I was like, is this going to open it up? Oh no. Yes. Very appreciative of both the Oilers and the Penguins. Yeah.
Yeah. They've managed to knock Quinn Hughes off the headlines, but I'll tell you what, I was on with Sakaris and Price, and Jeff Patterson was in for Blake today. And Maddie was showing some of the pictures yesterday from the Prudential Center. And Devils got waxed last night. They got waxed by Tampa, and it was, to be kind, it was costume party night, and everybody came dressed as an empty seat. When you're losing and fans ain't coming, does that put more pressure on the Devils to maybe step up here and say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't, quote unquote, come in light with our offers, thinking we can get them in 2 years?
Right. It's such a tough spot. You don't want to use Jack Hughes as the excuse here, and I apologize if this gets noisy. There's a fire truck.
As long as it's not for you, we're fine.
Yeah, no, all good here.
Okay.
You don't want to use the Jack situation as an excuse. You can't be the same thing year after year, but it does show you how important he is to this roster and to this team. I still the Devils are exploring multiple things here. In addition to Quinn Hughes, it's also bringing in somebody that can provide additional extra firepower up front. Yeah. This has gone back over a month, where Tom Fitzgerald, Fitzy, is looking at some of the options out there. Whether it's they've been connected to Stamkos and Ryan O'Reilly in Nashville, Braden Shen in St. Louis, Blake Coleman out of Calgary, the former Devil. They've been looking at different options there. They've obviously got to take that into account, whether they're going to put a piece together, or package, excuse me, together that includes a piece for Quinn that would take them away from addressing other areas of this club, which is an obvious statement. But I'm still, yes, there's a lot of hype around Quinn Hughes and there's a lot of chatter and talk. I just don't know how far along that realistically is, where we're starting to exchange legitimate offers at this point.
Okay, last thing. You mentioned Nashville a second ago. Preds just stuck it to the Blues yesterday. Like, that was a beating, and Stamkos turns back the clock, and he's sniping in 4. And not that Nashville's, like, everything's fine now with the Nashville Predators. There's still serious issues there. But it's like situation like dire right now with the St. Louis Blues. And it's games like that where you get trounced by a team like the Nashville Predators that really gets everybody's attention. From your conversations, how bad is it in St. Louis right now? It looks awful.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not like guys aren't, fighting each other in the room and telling each other off and things like that. But
that might be better for them. That might be better. That you've seen teams come together. It might be better.
Yeah.
Get Robert Thomas and Braden Shen to throw down. Let's go. Turn this around.
To go, well, yeah, I give the edge to Shen.
I don't like that for Robert. Yeah.
No. This is, this is another scenario where some injuries have affected their performance. But I think overall, like, St. Louis has been basically since Halloween a team that's told everybody we're open. Call us about almost everybody. We're willing to listen. Now, clearly, we're at this point. Nothing has really happened outside of that minor deal with LA.
Yep.
But I think everybody is understanding that there are going to be some pretty decent changes coming out of St. Louis. I think the same is in Nashville, quite frankly. But specific to the Blues, I think the guys in the room understand that changes are coming and that they're not going to be exclusively, the Nikita Alexandrov, for Akil Thomas. Yeah. It's going to be more impact-type moves like Shen, like Falk. Sundqvist is a pending UFA. Joseph's a pending UFA. You've got those elements too. Both Shen and Falk have another year on their contracts. That Kairu's hurt right now week to week. They're not afraid to have those discussions either. I think Thomas, Holloway, and I believe there's another I'm completely forgetting. Snuggerud, obviously, are non-starters. But I think everybody else is, they're a player that the Blues are willing to listen on. It's just, it clearly hasn't gone the way they thought. Clearly there have been some struggles, and those are going to continue by all accounts. But this team right now, still with Armstrong and Steen kind of leading the way, they're willing to make changes up and down that roster. It's just right now, honestly, it's a matter of when, and it sounds like the guys are waiting too.
Okay, last one. Quick thought on Jacob Fowler. The new Carey Price, the new Patrick Waugh, the new Ken Dryden.
Yep. Every win against the Pittsburgh Penguins, first one in the NHL. Nice to see. Nice to see them pull it off, or him pull it off. And he was solid. They threw a lot of pucks at him, especially in that second period. Need a confidence booster. This is ahead of schedule. It was going to happen at some point, but this is not, the timing in which the Habs anticipated. But sometimes you gotta just roll this. You have to roll the dice and take your shot. It's worked out, one game in. Yep. But this is as much a move to address the goaltending and motivate the other two guys as it is to just motivate the rest of the group.
I would have said at the beginning of the year that if we saw Jacob Fowler in December, that would mean the Montreal Canadiens were in trouble. Like if both goalies were healthy,
right?
And we saw Jacob Fowler in December, because you well know, like, listen, it's like 5 minutes ago he's playing in college, and now he's in the NHL. And if there's one position where, and listen, the Buffalo Sabres learned this with Devin Levi, who they tried to usher right into the NHL. You don't go right into the NHL. Like, that is the one position where, like, the necessity and reality of playing in the American League is brutal and obvious. And it's like roller skating down a gravel road sometimes, because it's a bumpy ride for a goaltender there, but you need it. And to see Jacob Fowler this early, like, again, like if you said, hey Dave, hey Marek, it's Dave here on the phone, book this one, December 11th, Jacob Fowler's going to be in net for Montreal. I'd be like, Dave, you're eating space cake, beat it, man. But there it was last night.
Yeah, I would have anticipated at that point the Habs are one of the bottom teams in the league, and not the case. I think one of the factors also for the Canadians in their decision process is just the way Fowler handles himself. He is a pretty calm and collected guy, and I don't think, given the circumstances, that they were going to be concerned that the nerves would get to him. Now, clearly, he was stellar in his first game, but it's more than that. Sometimes you tunnel vision game one in these scenarios,
Sure.
and then things kind of fall off after. But I think that was a factor too for the Canadians to be confident enough to bring him up in this scenario when both Dobesh and Montembeault are just not doing anything near what they're capable of doing in their eyes. The level of calmness and professionalism that Fowler brings to his game, I think factored into them being comfortable in doing this now. But again, as much of it is a goaltending message, it's also a message for the rest of this team. Like, hey guys, we're only a couple points out here, but we need to get going quick, or else we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Excellent points. Listen, we'll release you on that. You spent a lot of time with me today here. Busy day. Thanks for doing the 360 on the big trade of the day that knocked Quinn Hughes out of the head. It's got to be a big deal. If we're not, I know, right? Double pumper nickels. Let's go. We're not talking about Quinn Hughes for a day here. Well, almost. We did a little bit. Okay, great stuff. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, your weekend, and we'll talk in 7 days.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
There he is, the great Dave Pagnotta. He is the editor-in-chief of the Fourth Period, one half of the DFO Insiders, and appears weekly here on the sheet. More on the trade of the day. The goalie swap, folks. Being joined now by Jason Gregor, the co-host of the DFO Rundown and host of the Jason Gregor Show. And I can probably confidently say that there's nobody, at least in Canada, that I'm aware of, who's on the air more than you are. You are a workhorse, Jason Gregor. If I talked as much as you did I would have laryngitis. First of all, for aspiring broadcasters, what's your secret?
The funny thing is, I'm not even sure I'm great at diaphragmatic breathing. I know I'm supposed to do it. I don't even think I do it properly. The big one, honestly, for me, and I can say this, I've done my show now for 25 years. I have never missed a show due to sore throat. I've had sore throats, but gargling with warm water and cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is the one. Yes, cayenne pepper, 100%. I recommend it to everyone. I've had lots of my listeners over the years like, hey, Gregor, what's that throat thing? And it works. Now,
really,
if in order for it to work, you got to be diligent. Like I literally, when I feel a sore throat coming on, warm water, a little bit of salt, and the first time you do it, put in a small amount of cayenne pepper. You don't want to burn yourself. And then you just go until you can handle the heat. And then I gargle and I have a glass and I do it literally every hour for 5 or 6 hours and it's gone.
No way. Because I've always done the salt water. That's like warm water and salt. That's the one that I've always a cayenne pepper. Eh? All right. Yeah. Tip for everybody watching and listening right now, courtesy of the man who is on the air more than everybody, the one and only Jason Gregor. So you and I had talked about this deal a couple of weeks ago, the Pittsburgh Edmonton deal. Here's how I opened the show today, and here's what I'm sort of wondering about. How, from an Edmonton Oilers point of view, is there cayenne pepper in that? Let me see. Any red specks in that?
No, that's just straight water.
Just straight water.
Lubricated.
Okay, very good. Like sort of what changed? Because the Oilers, like everybody else, had a chance to get Tristan Jarry for free. It's just going to cost you his salary. Everybody passed on him. How in 11 months, because 11 months ago, essentially the valuation was he's not an upgrade on Skinner. Not an upgrade on Skinner. And now Jarry's had a really good start. High danger save percentage is excellent, amongst the elite in the NHL. But how do you go from he's not an upgrade on Skinner to he is an upgrade? The Penguins aren't going to retain, and essentially we're going to throw in a second round pick.
I think it's a good question. I think a few things. The goalie position is voodoo, and evaluations change on an ever-going basis. Like, Connor Hellebuck goes from regular season to literally a week later in the playoffs, and his numbers aren't even close. So frozen, it is. So, and then the other thing is money out, money in. Right, was I think a big factor here. Everyone's like, well, why didn't the Penguins retain salary? I'm like, well, So they basically got the same salary back in Brett Kulak and Stuart Skinner. So if they retain, they would have taken on more, sure. But Stuart Skinner is a pen and UFA. I assume that Pittsburgh's going to look at maybe signing him. Maybe they won't. But if they do, he's probably coming in around $4.5 million, $5 million, similar to Jarry. And depending on what he does in Pittsburgh, maybe higher. Like I think Stuart Skinner at times, because people just look at save percentage. And it's funny because when you talk to a lot of goalie people, they're like, no, you got to look at goals saved above expected and many other things. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is, what's the best ability, Jeff? Dependability. Right? Availability.
Yeah.
And Stuart Skinner doesn't get it. Now, Tristan Jarry, I read a lot of people, he gets hurt a lot. So I looked it up and I'm like, no, not really. He missed 4 weeks once and 3 weeks another time. So it's not crazy. But Skinner, since Skinner became into the NHL 22-23 as a regular, because he played like 13 games the year before. So since that time, which is 3 full seasons in this year, there's only 2 goalies that have played more regular season and playoff games than him.
Right.
It's just Ottinger and Bobrovsky. They played 149 for Ottinger, 148 for Bob, and Skinner's third at 228. And then it drops down Shesterkin, Hellebuck, Vasilevsky. So Skinner plays a lot. Now, he's not in their category as a goaltender. So I think this trade was made as, you know what? Stan Bowman was new last year, and you want to make your own evaluations, right? I hear from so many GMs, and man, if I start listening to everybody else before I make up my own opinion, that's how you can get screwed, right? I got hired to make up my own opinion. So I think he did. And I think they just look in evaluation, talking to people. Most people tell me, there's goalie analysts, that Tristan Jarry's top end game is better. He's more mobile, right? He's better crease to side, and the game's going that way more. But Stuart Skinner is also a big reason why the Oilers got to the Cup. Do they beat Dallas either year without Stuart Skinner? Especially in 2024. Like you look at that Game 6 performance in 2024 when the Oilers had 10 freaking shots on home ice and Skinner faced 34 and they won 2-1. He was unreal. And because if you have to go to Dallas on the road for Game 7, maybe you don't win. But I think Edmonton looked and they basically decided, we just don't think Skinner's it, so we're going to make a change. And, you make the change because both sides sometimes like something in the other guy, right? Like I know we're in society where somebody has to win the trade, right? Like who wins the trade? I'm like, it's going to depend on what happens in the results, right? Like Tristan Jarry will come here. Like Tristan Jarry's in a lot of pressure because Stuart Skinner helped them get to the Cup 2 years in a row. Now he wasn't perfect. He got pulled a few times, but he was still the main starter both years, right? So Tristan Jarry comes in, it's kind of got a lot of pressure, and we'll see if he does it. Now, if I say this, Jeff, I believe, and I've never loved the argument that goalie's the most important position, because I will strongly defend that that's not true. And it's not true even more now because the game is so much more east and west and side to side that if your defense continues to give up great cross-seam passes, inner slot looks, doesn't matter who the goalie is. He's not going to make the saves. So you need good team defense. And if Edmonton, who was a top 10 defensive team the last few years, if they get back to that, then Tristan Jarry doesn't have to carry them. They just think that maybe Jarry is going to be a little bit better than Skinner.
To the point about evaluating trades right away, I'm with you. I've always thought that was a fool's errand, to look at a trade right away and go like, okay, this team won the trade. Because right now, for the Edmonton Oilers, the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins are in two different places in their winning cycle. Edmonton's at the top of their winning cycle. The Pittsburgh Penguins are not at the top of their winning cycle. They're having a good season and a good start. We'll see if it continues. But the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins right now are as different as chalk and cheese. The only way I think you evaluate this one from the Edmonton Oilers side of things is, to your point, does Tristan Jarry get you over the Stanley Cup hump? That's a ton of pressure. And that's a really difficult bar to set, but that's the bar that's been set by this organization. And if Tristan Jarry can do it, and if the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup, and it's as the clock counts down, the camera, the one shots on the camera going from Connor McDavid to the goaltender, and it's Tristan Jarry, then they win the trade. That's it. And you can go back to December 12th and say, Marek, you were saying that this is the masterclass by Dubas and four-dimensional chess, and he turned Tristan Jarry 11 months ago. He decided to offer him up for nothing just to get under the contract, and now he's turned that into a second-round pick and maybe a third for Kulak and maybe a third for Skinner at deadline. We'll see. Look at what Kyle Dubas has done here. But if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, guess who wins the trade? The Edmonton Oilers do. That's why you can't evaluate this trade yet. Like many trades, because two teams are in completely different positions. What's going to work for Pittsburgh is not going to work for Edmonton. And what's going to work for Edmonton is not going to work for Pittsburgh. That's how.
But don't you think Pittsburgh makes this trade because they think it helps them stay in the race?
No, I think they make this trade. I think this trade was the beginnings of this trade. I think were made, or maybe not made, but cemented when they picked up Sheloffs from Vancouver, because all of a sudden you're starting to say to yourself, how many goalies did the Pittsburgh? Like, I know you and I have talked a lot about how many goalies the Buffalo Sabres have. Look how many goaltenders the Pittsburgh Penguins have. You know, it was 5 minutes ago that Yoel Blomqvist was going to be the next goaltender. Now it's Sergei Murashov. Now they've picked up Stuart Skinner, and all of a sudden we're talking about Murashov is going to be the next, Andrei Vasilevsky, or take your pick of Igor Shesterkin, the great Russian netminders in the NHL. I think it all starts to make sense. Like, Dubas leaves these breadcrumbs along the way, and then when he makes a move, you go like, oh yeah, that was planted months ago. That was planted years ago. I don't know that this is one that says we're going to stay in contention. If anything, I wonder if this one, because this is some of the initial feedback that I've received, is what does this mean to the relationship with Sidney Crosby? Getting rid of your veteran netminder and bringing in Stuart Skinner.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing in a guy who's went to 2 Stanley Cup finals in a row and played a lot of games and maybe isn't as consistent at times, right? But it's not like Tristan Jarry last year wasn't great. Tristan Jarry's had 14 really good games this year. Now, and that's what goes to show for the goal. So it goes to show if he stays hot, then that's all that matters. But from year to year, man, it's a wild position. Like, look around the league. It's crazy.
But that's where I come back to, from it sounds like I'm beating down the scouts here, but it seems like from an evaluation point of view, it seems like such a wild about face. Right? And I was bringing this up with Dave Pagnotta a second ago. Jacob Bernard-Docker is another one that jumps to mind as well. Like in that Josh Norris deal for Dylan Cousins. All of a sudden for the Buffalo Sabres, he was worth adding a second-round draft pick, and then 5 minutes later was like, yeah, we don't want any part of you. What changed? When when you base your decisions based on hot and cold streaks, oh man, that's a dangerous game a team can play, and normally they end up taking the car into the ditch when they do that.
Yeah. I think they're looking at bigger picture. Jarry's, I think, a career .909 save percentage and has a goal saved above expected in the pluses. So, he's not an elite goalie, but he can be a good goalie. I think they look more at his mobility. He's a better, east-west goaltender than Skinner. Yeah. Skinner's really good in his own area. I think Stewart's made some changes to his game this year, and you're starting to see him. Stuart Skinner, actually, in the last 3 weeks, no surprise. The Oilers team played better, and Skinner played better. I don't, what is it, the egg or the chicken? I'm not really sure, but probably a combination of both. But I think Edmonton just decided that, you know what? We don't think Skinner's our guy. And now we'll find out if it's right or wrong. And they wouldn't be the first team who got it right, and they definitely won't be the first team who got it wrong. And that's what makes this one intriguing. The other part of this trade, Jeff, even though it's a different part, is I talked to numerous scouts on Stastney, the defenseman at Edmonton, because basically it was kind of like a 3-way trade because Edmonton needed someone to replace Kulak, right? They only have 6 healthy defensemen. They called up Riley Stillman today. And Stastney's younger. He's Brett Kulak's a really good skater. I went on NHL Edge, and they're like, no. Stastney's a better skater. He's really smooth. Probably got a little bit more offensive upside.
Good passer.
And he's
good passer.
Yeah,
really good passer.
Well, that's the thing, right? They think he can move the puck. Yes. I had Hal Gill, who I reached out to, of course, longtime NHLer, Stanley Cup winner. And Hal Gill said, this guy can move the puck. He said, if I'm Edmonton, I'm going to play him with the top guys every now and then. Right. And I think that's something that Edmonton was missing. Yeah. Kulak and Emberson, neither one of them are real big puck movers on their third pair. And so they're thinking, hey, if we can have a third pair every now and then and lower some of the minutes of our other guys. And the other thing, Nashville played 7 defensemen a lot this year. So that's why his minutes were down to 14. I think in Edmonton, he's probably going to play 16 to 18. And he'll be an RFA. He's making what, $865. He's not going to get a big raise. So that kind of saves them some money there, right? They're paying more in their starting goalie, but now their third pair left defenseman will probably be $1.5 million to $2 million cheaper. Well, he's $2 million cheaper this year, and probably be a little bit cheaper next year.
I remember, to be honest with you, Jay, like I'm kind of surprised that Nashville did this, and this might just be historical, but when remember when Dante Fabro was in the doghouse with the Nashville Predators, he ended up going to Columbus. I was always told that, like, oh, they love the Stastney kid. I'm like, Dante Fabro's a good defenseman. Oh, they love the Stastney. That's all I kept hearing. Oh, they love the Stastney kid, and that's why I was, to be honest with you, surprised to see this morning. That the Oilers picked up Stastney. Again, it's not like the major headline part of the day for the Oilers, but that's a good move. Like that's a really solid, smart bit of business. That's the one where like a lot of people that have been around NHL teams for a long time will look at that and go like, you know what? Oh yeah, we got an itch on our third pair here. We need someone that can scratch that itch by moving the puck. Stastny's a really good choice. I really like that part of the deal. Part of the day, I guess, for the Edmonton.
Yeah, so it's kind of, even though it's separate, it really, they're hand in hand, right? So it basically goes Kulak, Jarry out, and Skinner out, Jarry and Stastney in, and then you have 2 draft picks, a second and then a third in 2027.
Okay, last question. It's about draft picks. There's still a first in 2027.
Yeah.
Do they use it this year? Do they hang on to it? Do they wait to see who's available? Do they use that to help construct a third line? What do they do with that? Because the minute that I saw the deal, I wondered, okay, if there's retention, that means they probably surrendered the first. But they haven't. They still have the first, which means they still have something that they can use to get them something.
Oh, they need a top 6 scoring winger, Jeff. That's what they need. Now Alex Tuck.
That's a name,
one, right? That's the obvious one. And then who else will be available right now? It's hard to know. Like you look at Vancouver is obviously going to trade off a lot of guys, but I don't see Evander Kane coming back to Edmonton, and I don't see Vancouver. Brock Besser, Jake DeBrusk have long-term deals. I don't think that doesn't really fit the cap of the Oilers, but I could see Edmonton. They would, if they could get a legit scoring top 6 winger, I think they would part with the first rounder in 27.
Will be fascinating. Listen, thanks for spending time with me today, and thanks for the throat tip. I will start that
try it.
immediately.
Once you try it, I don't want you to get a sore throat, but now I want you to, so you can say, "Hey, it works." But the key is you can't just do it once like that. People do it once, so it didn't work. No. Like I'm diligent with it. My wife used to bug me. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "No." And the other thing, Jeff, like when I would get a sore throat, I do the old school thing. I would rub like a bandana or a handkerchief around my neck and put Vicks Vapo Rub in there, and it keeps it warm. Like I've only had to do that twice, but it's more the cayenne pepper one. And I'm like, literally, it's been an hour and a half. I'm doing it again.
Every hour. Okay, so every hour?
For me, that's what, like, maybe it might be 2 hours, but I do it like 5 to 6 times a day when I feel it, and then it goes away.
Come for the hockey, stay for the health tips. Jason Gregor, our guest here on the sheet. Thanks, pal.
Have a good one.
That's it. Great stuff. Jason Gregor, host of the Great Jason Gregor Show on 1440, and also co-host of the DFO Rundown. I'm on the Monday shows, and Mike Rupp, that one's available now, is on the Friday morning drops. Those Friday morning shows are always good. Rupper's fantastic. Okay, Zacharoo, haven't talked to you all day. What do you make of the deal? You have a nickel and dime on this one?
I think it's interesting because Edmonton probably decided that, we need to make a change. The one thing I thought about was something you brought up to Dave, and I kind of disagree with him a little bit. And it's not necessarily that I think...
Dave, or you disagree with me?
Dave. Sorry,
okay,
I disagree
Proceed,
with Dave.
Then. Fine,
yeah.
That's fine. Good. You may proceed.
I don't think that this is viewed in Pittsburgh as they did this for Crosby in terms of getting Skinner back, but I think it kind of like eases the trade, right? Because it's a goalie that did go to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. It's not like Stuart Skinner was the most sought-after goaltender, but I think it kind of levels things out.
Stanley Cup final.
Right. I'm not trying to say like, hey, Sid, we went out and got this guy for you. We did this. But we talked about on Tuesday, and Wish was bringing up the idea, like, if you trade Tristan Jarry, what does that say to Sidney Crosby? Well, you can at least kind of smooth it over and be like, well, we brought back Skinner. And then to your point, which I like that idea, and it was something I was kind of thinking about, like, does something more come of this later down the road, is, well, if it doesn't work, then you also now have another trade asset.
Again,
because you didn't just get Skinner, but you got Kulak as well.
Again, when you look at asset management, okay, so 11 months ago, the Pittsburgh Penguins made the decision that they were done with Tristan Jarry. They placed them on waivers. Okay, we want to get rid of this contract. Okay, we're done. Take him for free.
Yeah.
Right? And they have now, and he cleared, and they have now turned that into a second round pick and whatever they can get, and maybe it's just a pair of thirds, but still, these are lottery tickets. You got out from under the contract. You got a second round pick. You got whatever you can get for Kulak and Skinner. Probably a pair of thirds. That's fine. And it's a tidy bit of business. And you've opened up more cap space. And this is all for someone who you have made the decision just under a year ago you didn't want anymore.
Yep.
And the whole league said, we're not interested.
Yeah.
You've turned that into assets.
I thought this was a savvy move, a savvy day by Kyle Dubas. Like, I thought this was a very, very good day for the Pittsburgh Penguins and Kyle Dubas.
And again, and if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, it'll turn out that this was a great day for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm just looking at a couple of things. Like, to my original question, like, what changed? How did the swing go from we're not going to swing at this pitch to we're going to try to hit this one out of the stadium inside of 11 months and give these things up for him? And again, they win the Cup. I want to hear about it on Twitter. I want to hear every single Oilers fan just hammer me on this one. But right now, this one looks like incredible asset management by Kyle Dubas. And again, Edmonton and Pittsburgh are in different positions on where they are in the NHL. I get that. Understood.
Yeah.
But man, Dubas just did a really nice bit of business for the Penguins. Even like the biggest Dubas haters out there, and there are some. I don't know if you see it. There are some.
I'm familiar. I've seen them.
Have to look at this and go, like, at least like on the very minimum, putt for par applause. Putt for par. At the very minimum.
Yeah. On the Edmonton side of things here, I know the one thing that's being talked about right now is the difference between Skinner and Jarry in the high danger chances save, like those saves in those areas, and goal saved above expected. We're bouncing back and forth, and I mean, if you look in general, they're pretty equal outside of the high danger chances saved. Where are you at in terms of improvement made? Let's take Kulak and Stastney outside of this one. Just goaltending situation, goaltending wise for Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they made a big improvement in net?
For the high danger chances, they did. My issue with the whole thing from Edmonton's point of view is they gave up a lot. Now I know they had to make the money work, and if there wasn't going to be retention, they're going to have to make the money work. Did they get a better goaltender? I mean, we can argue about Stuart Skinner took them to the Stanley Cup final twice, and that's true. What's the one area of concern, though? High danger chances. If the Edmonton Oilers are committed to surrendering high danger scoring chances, then you better have a goaltender who is amongst the elite at stopping high danger scoring chances. And this year that's been Tristan Jarry, who's top, I want to say, not three, maybe 4 or 5 in the NHL. And I think that Skinner was around 40th. That's not good, by the way.
Yeah, I know. So what I was going at here is I think they got better in it, but I was going to kind of lead to where you ended up with.
It was expensive.
It's expensive for the improvement that was made, and I don't know if it's there right now. And the other part that I kind of wonder when you think about the cost on that is they still have the other guy to pull from Lindy Ruff in Calvin Pickard that is almost unplayable right now. Like that's the thing that I was kind of looking at this morning, being like, now what? Like, you still have that guy. You're going to play Jarry every game for the rest of the season because Pickard is effectively unplayable.
Well, the thing is, like, I thought that I think the play was, by Christmas, maybe Connor Ingram's ripping up the American Hockey League, and you can bring him up from Bakersfield. I think he's got like an 870 save percentage, maybe an 880 or something like that. So it's not as if he's gone down there and torn up the American League. But we'll see. Like, I don't think that Stan Bowman's done. I don't think any of us think that Stan Bowman's done. I don't think anyone thinks that Kyle Dubas is done. Kyle Dubas is going to be an interesting guy. Again, provided the Pittsburgh Penguins fall out of this thing, he's going to be a very, very popular person for teams to call. What is this, $13 million for the cap space? You want to talk about facilitating trades? 3 retention slots?
Yeah. Hey,
again,
good job by Kyle Dubas today.
Even the most ardent Dubas haters have to look at how this has all come together. And what's the one thing? Like, what's the one thing that, like, legitimately you could point at Dubas and say, like, this was a mistake? Was the Tristan Jarry deal? No general manager gets out clean. Yep. No general manager bats 1,000. Nobody does. Right? Bill Torrey didn't. Sam Pollock didn't. Nobody did. Nobody bats 1,000. Sorry, doesn't happen. But look what Dubas just did. Turned into a second and whatever else he can get from those pair at deadline, and got out from under the weight of that contract. Now, you may turn around and say, well, you don't congratulate people for cleaning up their own messes. I don't think we do that with our kids. You say, like, yeah, you should clean up the mess. You made it. But still, he did it. How many times did you say, like, oh, man, that's going to be tough to get out under that one? Oh, yeah? The minute they got Sheloffs, you had to know something was up. And good on the Penguins, good on Dubas. And if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, good on Stan Bowman.
Yeah.
Awesome job, well done. Okay, we chewed this one up a lot today. I think there's anything that we left out? Anything from the chat? Any questions? Anything? Any comments? Anything that you saw in there? We like, we might want to chew the bubblegum on this one a little bit.
No, everyone kind of ran over all the stuff you did as well, and lots of participation in the chat and on the poll today. 63% of voters said that the Penguins won this deal. 15% said the Oilers won, and 23% said that this was even. They both win.
Okay. Trades you can't judge. Tough to judge them right away. Like, if I judged it right now, I'd say the same thing. I'd agree with the poll, but I would throw in the caveat that it'd be fraudulent of me to award. And I know that we live in Hot Take City. And right away, it's got to be instant reaction.
I'll give the award. I'll give the award. Penguins get the award. I'm giving it out.
Okay, all right.
Way too early.
All right. Anyhow, so that was it. I thought today was going to be all about Quinn Hughes again, too.
Oh, I thought so, too.
We barely flapped our wings just a little bit with Pagnotta about him. That was it.
Yeah. Dave at this point is probably dreading every time we're texting him and nothing happens in the week. He's like, Quinn again. He's like, these assholes brought up Washington this week, and now I've got to talk about Quinn in Washington, and we're going to talk about Quinn in Detroit, and we're going to bring up all these other teams. He's like,
hang on.
Sees that news this morning. He's like, thank God.
The situations are different, but as far as like a sports talk radio topic or a hockey talk radio topic, it's the new Mitch Marner.
Quinn Hughes.
You know, when you're a producer in hockey media, there's just certain things, Zach, you know this because you're both a host and a producer. You know this. Like, there are certain topics that you know you can always go back to. Like right now, one of my favorite podcasts is The Rest is History, which is like an incredible podcast. And a couple of years ago, they did like a 5-part series on the Titanic, which is like, how do you not listen to that? It's fascinating. It's always so good. Right now, they're doing a 5-part series on Jack the Ripper. So there I am, scraping the ice yesterday in the backyard and shoveling the snow. And what am I listening to? It's a 5-part series on Jack the Ripper. I'm right back in Victorian England, listening to all of this. And I'm thinking to myself, man, every industry has this. Every industry has the, when in doubt, let's just talk about this, because it always bears fruit. And I'm a sucker for it every time. Origins of World War I. Here's a 10-part series. I'm in every single time. Titanic, I am in. Jack the Ripper, I am and for hockey right now, the tree that's producing the most fruit is still Quinn Hughes. And just today was the Edmonton Pittsburgh trade. Trust me, we'll be back to Quinn Hughes on Monday.
Yeah. Last year during the season, like, the Leafs would win, Thursday game, 2-1, boring, nothing happens, nobody's watching, and then all of a sudden the chat would be like, so what do you do with Marner? And then we'd spend 30 minutes on Marner. And I'd be like, well, we talked about tonight's game. I don't have anything to say about this one. Let's talk about Marner.
Yeah, let's talk about Marner. Well, how about right now we talk about Hungry for Hockey History. Today's a good one. Hungry for Hockey History, presentation of Uber Eats. Uber Eats is enabling fans to maximize their fandom all season long with exclusive game day deals on the app. From game day eats to paper plates and napkins, if you're hosting, to all of the ingredients you need to make your favorite game day dip. Before, during, and after the game, Uber Eats is assisting every fan's hockey experience all season long. Zach.
December 12th, 2009, Alex Kovalev recorded a hat trick in Ottawa's 4-2 win over Carolina, with one of those goals marking the 400th of his NHL career. The milestone made him the 82nd player in league history to reach the 400-goal mark. Marek, I don't know, remind me here, did the Senators clear the benches for that one? I don't seem to remember.
Oh, look at you. Oh, no, they put up a banner. Is what they did.
Okay.
Very good. And you know what? The cynics and critics of Alex Kovalev will say, oh, he got a hat trick, eh? Then how many games did it take him to get his next point? Because that was the thing about Kovalev. He would have these moments where they would just have these games where he was the best player in the world. And he would do whatever he wanted. He was, by the way...
Sounds like somebody I know.
He would do whatever he wanted and then just vanish for a few games, right? It's like he'd play like 1 out of every 5 or 6. But when he played, best player in the league. Ask anyone. When Alex Kovalev was playing in the NHL and he decided to play, he was the best player in the league. Hands down, full stop, period, last call. Everybody get out. That was Alex Kovalev. One of my favorite stories is when he was playing with the Rangers. I remember we used to have Mike Keenan on the panels with us, and so I spent a lot of time with Mike Keenan when there was that 1 year or 2 years he was with us at Sportsnet, and we'd go out every night, not every night, but every now and then we would go out and after the show and have a drink or have like a late night bite, and I would just like pick his brain about everything. And I asked him about this one night where Kovalev was known for taking long shifts. Do you know this story, Zach? You ever heard of this one? So Kovalev was known for taking really, really long shifts. Like he would stretch it out and by long I meant like 2.5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I think I know the story.
Keenan decides to leave him out there for close to 7 because he's going to send a message to Kovalev. Like he's come back to the bench, tongue hanging out like, no, stay. No, go on. And I asked him about that. I'm like, what's the backstory on that? And he goes, oh, that fucker. I go, what's that? He goes, so I wanted to punish him. I didn't want to leave him out there for 7. I wanted to leave him out there for like 3.5, maybe 4 minutes to send a message. I go, so what was the problem? He goes, he frickin' scored. He got a goal. So I'm like, oh, damn it. So, like, forget it. No way. Keep going back out.
Yeah.
No, you're not coming off. You're not coming back. Goes, I would have just left him out for 4. But because he scored it, because he's Kovalev, he scores a goal. I'm dead tired. Scores a goal. I'm like, screw this. Stay out there, and left him out for nearly 7 minutes. But that was Kovalev. By the way, as an aside, there are, not say a lot, but there are some hockey people who are really good at karaoke. Okay? Like Gilbert Perreault, old Buffalo Sabre, is legendary for his karaoke performances. But I will tell you something. And I heard it not just like on stage, but I heard it like in the makeup room and in the hallways and in the green room watching games with the guy they called Iron Mike. Do you know the song? Do you know the song? And it's one of my favorites. A great song. You know the song "Easy" by the Commodores?
I think so, but I don't know by title. I think if I heard it, I would say you'd probably say yes.
Definitely would know it. You have not lived, folks, until you have heard Mike Keenan sing "Easy" by the Commodores. I don't know if it's Mike's favorite song, but he delivers it so well, and you have not lived until you've seen Mike Keenan in the makeup chair singing "Easy."
Oh,
by the Commodores.
yeah, I know the song.
You know that song? Mike Keenan,
I'm reading
baby.
the lyrics.
Yeah, delivered it like no. I guess we can't play it for copyright reasons. I'm
No.
sure, but yeah, okay, get that yanked off YouTube if we do that. But nonetheless, you have not lived until you've heard "Easy" by the Commodores, sung by Mike Keenan. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Kovalev. Yeah, congrats.
Yeah. Raise the banner, clear the benches, 400 goals.
Okay, whatever. We got that taken care of. The sheet is powered by FanDuel. Want to let you know that as well. You probably already know that. Play your game with FanDuel. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos, live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? Do not sweat. Do not fret. With a live same-game parlay, you can build up your bets until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly. 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. I'm thinking about calling that number because I'm concerned about the goofiness that you've been bringing now for a couple of weeks, which I really do enjoy, but I do get the feeling you're probably spending too much time thinking about goofy titles. Is today one of those days, Zach?
Yeah, I'm not even going to say, oh, this one is so dumb. Like, they just progressively get worse here, and I think that's what's going to happen as the season goes. And I went 0 for 3 yesterday. Yesterday was on a theme in terms of, everyone's names kind of fit into something.
Ill.
Kirill. Yes, you make me ill. Yes,
yeah.
Kirill, Kaprizov, Kirill, Marchenko, and Will Smith. 0 for 3 on yesterday's. But maybe this one will be different.
Okay.
2 games. Had to really stretch this one out to get creative and find something, Jeff. So,
Okay.
You're ready?
Yeah.
This
You can't even
bad.
say it. It's so bad.
These pet laws are nasty. JJ Peterka, Lawson Krause, and Frank Nazar.
Pet laws are nasty.
Pet laws are nasty. No?
Yeah. Your mother and I are still very concerned about you, but okay. So Lawson Krause, JJ Peterka, and Frank Nazar. Pet laws.
Yeah. For the sake of this one, we're calling him Nazar because I have to say Nasty.
Right, okay.
So
you got to put the accent on the right syllable. Okay.
I had to change it.
Right.
Yeah. In fairness, this one was so hard. I went through both rosters so diligently trying to figure out what I could do to combine something, but Lawson Krause plus 450, JJ Peterka, and Frank Nazar. $5 pays $2.33. Yes, you can ask a question.
If its pet laws are nasty, why would you have the laws part second and the pet part? No, why would you have the laws part first and the pet part second? Why wouldn't you have Peterka, Lawson, and Nazar in that order to fit your sentence? To fit your title.
So at the end, when we were talking about the Jarry Skinner trade, I don't know if you saw me typing frantically. I was trying to switch the board because I realized that I put them backwards and I didn't finish switching the board.
The Penguins got Tristan Jarry?
And I'm like,
For what,
uh-oh. No, like this board. I was like, oh, I gotta put them in the right order, and I didn't get it done because we were still conversing, and I'm paying attention to what you're saying, and I'm like, uh-oh, my board's backwards. So that's why. That's the honest truth of why it's in the wrong order.
JJ Peterka, Lawson Krause, Frankie Nazar.
Yes, $5 pays $2.33.
All right. Very good. We'll pay attention. That for games tonight?
Very good. I don't know about that. That's the games
Listen,
tonight,
if it
yes.
pays
I don't
off,
know
like
about
dude, one of these is going to hit. Right?
I'm due.
Oh, you're due, all right. You're due because you're over, man. You're really having like when it comes to these, like we like to say, like you got 1 foot in the grave and 1 foot on a banana peel with these bets. This has been tough for you, bud.
It's ugly. We gotta turn this around. But
by the way,
tonight, see one go through, and
you know what we should have mentioned as well. Did you see who's playing Tuesday?
Pittsburgh and Edmonton.
Yeah. Also, Edmonton playing the Maple Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada Saturday. No pressure, just jump right in. Hockey Night in Canada, new team, and then Pittsburgh on Tuesday.
The Troy Stecher revenge game.
Massive. Just massive.
That's what we're all tuning in for.
I love Alberga. You sound like Nick Alberga. I love it. Okay, listen, anything else from you? Anything else you want to add? Anyone you want to shout out? Any anniversaries or birthdays or anything important? Anything we missed this week? Any sort of janitorial work we need to do here before we wrap things up?
No, the only thing was Gregor released a video of the inside of the Milan arena.
And?
I'm worried.
So they're moving it to Galt Arena then, is what you're saying? They're moving it to the William Allman Arena in Stratford? Is that where we're going here? Keeping the Matthews open a little bit longer? Maybe have to do the Olympics there? Is that what's going on?
I'm worried about the state of this one. It's
really?
It just looks a long ways away. There's no ice. There's nothing that's going on, and that's not a good feeling right now. It looks like an arena that's in construction. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like an arena that's playing games like imminently. You know, it can get done. I'm not going to say it can't get done. It's just that looks like an arena when they're like, we're making progress. Like season opens in 4 months. Not the Olympics are coming here in 75 days. That's
You know what they needed? They needed the crew that did the Utah Mammoths practice facility.
No kidding.
That's who they needed to frickin' hire. That crew. That thing went up fast, and it's good.
Yeah.
That's who they needed. Like I don't know who's doing this one, but I know who I'd hire to do it. The crew that did Utah. Get that team. Get them over there now. Send them over there now and just like start grabbing shovels. Hey, beat it, guy. We know what we're doing here. We're the new sheriff in town. We got hockey to play. We're not waiting around for you guys.
Yes.
Sorry. You want to see our resume? Go look in Utah. Go. Look what we did. We did that 5 minutes.
Pay whatever it takes to get those guys over there.
I don't know who they are.
Olympics.
I don't know who the group. Does anybody know? Ask the chat. Does anybody know who that group was that did the Utah Mammoth practice facility? They put it together in like 5 minutes, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And everybody in Vancouver went like, "Can we have one of those?" No space. No realized. Can we just have one? No, none. You'll get none. And then Rick Talkin, his first press conference at the Philadelphia Flyers, was talking about how he loves the practice facility. Oh, dig the knife in deeper and twist. Get the Utah guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to like hammer away on this. We've done it all week. That was the first visuals I've seen of the arena, and I was, we're playing there? No, there might be ice, Jeff. We might have cameras and ice. I guess that's good enough.
This does not fill me with optimism. What do you do?
Send the Kachucks. Matthew Kachuk said, "We're going no matter what. Get your ass over there and help them get it done."
Grab a shovel and go. Get a shovel and a helmet. Bring your Panthers helmet. Don't care. Go.
Yeah. I also was analyzing that to see if there was any room to extend the arena. There's got to be some space to make that thing a little bit longer. Just a thought.
I don't know why this just popped in my head. I remember when I worked at the cemetery, at Park Lawn Cemetery. Yeah, this would have been the early 90s when I was going to university. And one of the days that just like blew my mind, there was a really interesting funeral that we had. It was half very rich people, executives. I believe it was someone who was either the CEO or president of Dominion Foods, whose daughter had married someone from a motorcycle club. And she had fallen off the back of a bike and passed away. I think it was on the highway too. It was just awful. So the funeral was a combination of the ultra wealthy and a number of people from the motorcycle club. And it was like 150 Harleys that rolled in. And I don't know where I'm going with this other than like I just heard about, just talking about like shovels and construction and these types of things. I don't think I've ever told you this story or anyone tell the story on the air. One of my most interesting days that I saw, and I kind of really like this. We were in the shed, and it was just after lunch, and the funeral had just taken place. And it was a really emotional one. The husband was a puddle. The father was a puddle. Like it was very, really emotional. And so we're sitting in the shed, ready to, when they leave, with flowers and throw the dirt on the coffin. And 4 or 5 guys, biker dudes, walk in. They got a case of Labatt Blue. And they put it down on our kitchen table. There's about 6 or 7 of us in the shed. And they said, boys, this box is for you. Give us your shovels. And we're like, what? My foreman Keith was like, no problem. And gave them the shovels. And he's like, boys, enjoy the beer. We bury our own. Nobody buries our people. And part of me, a lot of me, and even the older that I get now, Zach, I'm like, I really, really like that. And I'm really glad that I was a part of seeing that.
Yeah.
We bury our own. Nobody touches our dead.
Wow. I really like that story. I have no clue what the hell it has to do with the arena in Milan. Other than maybe there's a connection here. We build our own arenas. I don't know.
Build our own. Get out of here, Utah guys. We build our own.
We're sending everyone from the PWHL that's playing. We're sending everyone from the NHL that's playing. You're going over there and you're helping get this thing done. You want to play in the Olympics this year? Get the hell over there and start
build
building
your
this
own rink. Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, on that we'll wrap. Thanks to Dave Pagnotta for stopping by. Thanks to Jason Gregor for stopping by. Thanks for being so indulgent with us here today, going like 20 minutes overboard and long on the program. Thanks for your attention. Thanks to everyone who took part in today's show, either just by listening or just by watching or interacting in the chat. It's all valuable. Please subscribe to our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. We are back Monday at 1 o'clock Eastern. Enjoy the weekend. I'll be back on with Jason Gregor on DFO Rundown Monday morning, and then here with The Sheet, a full 5-day schedule next week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday. Jeff Marek along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for The Sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you